everybody to the 35th version of Speck&Tech, the event that tries to standardize the pile as the new tech uniform of the future. Welcome. You!
Okay, this event is named Web Programming, and we'll go directly to the speakers. Just to introduce you to who they are. First one is Luca. Big applause for him. Welcome, Luca. And the second one is Luca. We actually get us to the situation where we got like two Lucas as speakers. Hopefully this won't happen again because it's quite embarrassing. Anyway, we move to the next point. We need to thank a lot our supporters as always for making Speck&Tech running, and this time our main sponsor is SFSCON, which is actually the main conf about open source organized by Untitled Park in Bolzano.
But you can call them Luca.
Yeah.
Easier to pronounce it.
Yeah. As you know, it's happening this weekend. It's actually starting on Friday and will last till Saturday afternoon. It's all about open source, and there's bunch of people from everywhere, like a bunch of speakers from all around Europe and the world. Also the president of the Aussie Foundation, which we were proud to host as a speaker last year. His name is Luca. Yeah.
In several clips, you can find streaming from the past on our website on slides as well.
Yeah, and if you go on the SFSCON website, you can find all the program of the event. Unfortunately, there's no one here from them because they're super busy with the event. You can imagine it's just 2 days. What is interesting as well is that apart from the conference, there's also a B2B matchmaking. So if you have a company or startup, you can register for free and you can go and meet a lot of other companies. And at the same time, there's a job speed dating. So if you're looking for a job and you don't plan to stay in Trento because the cool tech companies are actually here, you can go to Bolzano, and there's this thing happening during the SFSCON. Finally, you probably are very, very interested in what is happening as well there. And
we have a nice slide here.
Yeah.
Keep it a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
Some of you probably saw it before during the preview. Let me see. Oh no. Yeah. Okay. And this is like what is happening as well. Just look around. Half of the people in the video are speakers. Probably more.
And you can count at least 3 Lucas in the video.
The Vertical Innovation Hackathon is fascinating. We have 100 participants, 100 talents, mostly software developers. The others are designers here in the noise of the Neutech Park, and they are creating prototypes for the future on how you can use technology for a smart green region Southland.
Now the time is almost over and the hackers developed for 24 hours, and I have the honor to sit in the jury, and I'm very, very excited to see all the results.
The vertical academic innovation was actually very good and really challenging event, especially develop something from scratch, like from a concept in 20 hours to 24 hours. It's really great with a nice atmosphere. We are looking forward to go to the topic and put this adventure in the right way.
Organizing an hackathon is really challenging because there are a lot of things to combine. But in the end, it's a lot of fun and it's really satisfactory.
Yeah, so it's amazing. Actually, I guess the last 5 or 6 editions of the hackathon were won by people from Speck&Tech. So please go to Bolzano and get the prize back to Trento. Okay?
Yeah, thank you. Say the hackathon is super good. I've been to a lot of hackathon, Francesco as well.
Yeah.
And the quality is very good. So we highly recommend. Also the price is crazy. So.
Yeah, and also the food is amazing, like a bunch of stuff. Get there because it's if you want to attend a hackathon, it's the best one to go to. So again, go to Noi Hackathon website. We will share it in the next days as well. Last few days till tomorrow evening to sign up. Okay, as always, our long-time sponsors.
Yeah, we are here usually with the team of Becca, the company I work with. We basically work on design and development of front-end and of web front-end and application. Also, we can speak English. We are here
that as well
with the company, Francesco's company.
Yes, and as well we have to thank a lot people from Fattura Cloud for giving us the software and the DigiNet that are providing the beautiful stickers that you saw at the entrance. As always, you find all the information on our website with all the previous events and also the job openings from the companies that supported our events. Remember to follow us on our social media, even if Facebook is almost dead. It's a nice platform for events.
If you have more than 50 years, maybe you can follow us on Facebook. But we prefer Telegram, to be honest. We don't post that much, and we all have the information there, so it's easier.
Yeah. Final question: if you can donate, of course you can. Just get at the entrance. There's a table waiting for you with also the beautiful new T-shirts.
There is no Michele this time, so if you're looking for Michele for donation, there is no Michele, but there are other people. What is the donation is for? It's pretty easy. We buy beer, we move people from other countries, not this time to be honest, and we buy food for everyone. So that's what the donation are for, as well as the money that we take from the sponsors. So that's where the money goes. If you want to contribute, feel free.
And also, if you go there, you can also get free discounts for Flixbus, via TechSoup, and also JetBrains Suite products, the stickers, and the T-shirt, even if Sam is not available. Last few things before starting. In the next days, we will also share some information about Swift Heroes. So we made a partnership with them, and we have some discounts if you're interested in Swift, and also in other conferences that they will host. This one is happening actually this weekend in Turin. Might be quite far, but still, if you're interested and you're planning to go, we get a discount for that. Final 2 points. First one, this is the date of the next event. It's not a 2-day event, it's one of those 2 days.
Oh no.
Okay. It's not a boot camp or whatever. It's either on Thursday or on Friday. We've got the availability from a speaker coming from London on those 2 dates. So we need to find the other speaker and decide which one is better. So don't book your Christmas holidays and don't leave Trento before these dates. And then, 2020.
2020 is the kind of date that everyone made promise about because it sounds cool, right? 2020 plans. Our 2020 plans for Speck&Tech are to be more inclusive. So in the last, let's say, year and a half, we had a lot of very cool speakers from, I would like to say, the whole world. To be honest, it's more like the whole Europe. But we see Speck&Tech as like a roundabout, right? So you enter on the roundabout and you can do the whole circle from the entrance to the other side. What does this mean? Speck&Tech aims to be like the place where Trento Tech is happening, where you can grow as not only as a listener, but we would like to you go home, take all that we put on this stage as like an input and come back. So we are trying to be more inclusive on the community. So instead of having like a whole year of super cool speakers from the whole Europe, we would like to have some super good speakers from Italy and Trento to be specific. what does this mean? That if you want to try your first time in front of other people, this may be the correct place to do it. The best place to do it, to be honest, because most of us already know each other, and moreover, se non me sentite di farlo in inglese va benissimo anche in italiano. For the English speakers means I really love the English, but most of the people are from Italy. So if you don't feel super confident with English, it's okay if you want to say, hey, I would like to say something, but I'm really good just with Italian. It's okay. But we really, really like to include people on the other side of this room instead of just being top down. We like be bottom up. Other cool words for saying very simple words. So Speck&Tech 2020, send your talk submission. We would really like to hear stuff from you, even if it's simple, even if it's easy, and if you want support to practice and build the slide deck and everything, you can talk with Francesco, which has a lot of free time. No, joke aside, and me as well. We would really like to turn this table.
Cool. And also we can help you to put doggos and GIFs into the slides.
Yeah, we are the best at that.
So yeah, go here, we actually added a new form, and you can submit, and you can also say if you want to give the talk in English or in Italian. So we are very open also to talks in Italian if that is a barrier for people to give a presentation. Anyway, final point, slido, sli.do, the code is ST35. Here is where you can ask the questions to the speakers. And finally, last slide of the deck, we go to the first speaker of the night, Luca.
Hi. Hi everyone. Tonight I will talk about web components and not about QP, but I divide this presentation in chapters so QP will fit with this purpose. So not QP, I'm sorry. And another disclaimer, this is not a war between frameworks or things like that, but just I want to share a message that is to use more web standards and also, in this case, web components. So I'm Luca, I'm working for Backup, and I play a lot of video games and I read a lot of books. And I play also tabletop games at Linux. And I'm a member of an organizer of Speck&Tech and Python Italia events. So go Python Italia. So we should start with something, and I want to start with the benefits of using web components. And the first one is that it's reusable, and it's one of the main reasons that you usually use React, Angular, and things like that. And this is another example of pieces of software that are reusable, and this is the first advantage. The second one is that they work alongside everything because they are plain JavaScript, and you can use them with, again, React, Angular, whatever you want. And this is a good way to reuse your code and also improve your application without moving the version of the bigger frameworks and things. And also, because they are standards, they are also future-proof, because standards are here to stay. They require a lot of time to become standards and also a lot of time to exit from the standards. So you are pretty safe to use them in your big application that they must stay here for a long time. Another advantage, this is one of the main because you can use them inside of every browser, and they are natively provided by the browser, so you don't have to install anything. They're just inside of them. Okay, but what is a web component? Usually when I don't know something, I go to my preferred website, that is Wikipedia. And the definition that I've read first time is web components are a set of features that provide a standard component model for the web, allowing for encapsulation and interoperability of individual elements, HTML elements. Okay, I want to point your attention on the words in red, because they are the most important in this phrase. So, set of features and encapsulation. Why they are important? Because web components, it's a buzzword if you want, but the first thing that you learn about them is that they don't exist. Because they are in fact a set of features combined to form web components. And the first things is custom elements. So the web provides you a way to create your own HTML tags, that they are normally HTML tags, where you can append events, modify them with JavaScript, and also use CSS on them. The second one is the shadow DOM. The shadow DOM is a special kind of DOM that is rendered separately from the main document, and is also private, so it's not modifiable from the outside. Another one is HTML templates, that is a way to, and also it's a way to create reusable pieces of HTML. We'll see later an example. Another, the second word is encapsulation. So the main thing here is that you can use this language mechanism for protect your state in your application or your components. So you have private things that are not modifiable again from the outside. We are ready to see our first web component, and this is a normal button. In fact, it's nothing else than a button tag, but it's the real thing. It's web component. And as you can see, it's not a normal button tag, but it has a different name. This name, it's created, this tag is created with custom elements. You can pass normal properties, as always, and inside of them text. And the other thing that you have to do is to import your small chunk of JS, in this case, bootstrap button, as you can see, is really bootstrapped. And inside of it, you can see there is a normal class, ES6 class, to be more precise, that extend the HTML element class that provide to your component a way to work with your page, and also you have to append it to your custom elements list. Unless you don't define the element, your page won't know, don't know that your element exists, so you have to give it a name. That it was, this name, and to pass the class name and use it. So, as I said before, you can use your element, and it's a normal element, HTML. So you can create it, append to the body of the page, and for example, like just a div, you can use a query selector, select it, add an event and use it. It's not rocket science, it's just plain JavaScript. The HTML element class provides you lifecycle callbacks. So for example, these are the three main properties that you will use. The first one is connected callback, for example. This is used and triggered when the element is appended to the page. And vice versa, you can use a disconnected callback when the element is detached from the page. And this one, the third is attribute change callback. It's used to manage and listen your properties that are changed in your element, in your custom element. So normal properties, normal function. And I want to point your attention on the last one, that it's again attribute changed callback. It has three parameters, so the name of the properties, the old value, and the new value. Using this, you can manage your state and change accordingly your view and your template. This is really bloody, as you can see on the side. Usually, browser compatibility, it's not that good for everything. In this case, we are good to go in most of cases because mostly we are using Firefox or Chrome. Starting from the 63 and 60 version, they are fully supported. You can find everything without anything else required. We have partial support on Safari, but unfortunately they are not working on Edge. But this is temporary because we know that Edge will become a new Chrome, so this is already solved. But in any case, we can use them everywhere today using standard polyfills. They are just really standards. So you can go to the repo or another CDN. Use it. It's really standard, and also as you can see, the user that maintain the repo is web components, so you can trust them. But we are programmers, we are lazy, and usually we should find a better way to use the code that we have in our hand and to create it. So I think it's worth it to talk about Polymer, and I think that it's really splattered because Polymer is just a library created by Google that wraps the standard API of web components. It's not a big framework. You won't learn strange APIs or something that will blow your mind. They are just a wrapper around the three methods or more that you have seen before. So again, we have another class that stands, in this case, the lit element. It's not a polymer element. This is a special kind of polymer that we will discover in the next slide. But the main point is that it's really similar if you want to react. And as you can see, you have a render method and you return a HTML template. So again, the lit element is a simple base class. And it uses lit element, that it's a library that is rendering shadow DOM using HTML templates, and adds API to manage properties inside your component. As you've seen before, the attribute change callback, it's a little bit rusty, no, not rusty, but primitive. And it won't help you that much in re-render your template. It's really just a listener. In this case, you have already all that you need to change your template accordingly to your state. And this is the last point. We should have a quick look to HTML. It's just a wrapper around HTML templates. using a template literals, so just plain JavaScript. You don't have to learn something different or something strange. And behind the scenes, it really uses just standard templates. This is an example. You can create a function. This function can use the attribute, the property's name, and render it inside your template string. Simple. And the second one is more interesting because on this button you have a click function listener, and inside of it it's using a function. So the main difference from the standard HTML APIs is that you have a hat, but this is more specific to this toolit element. So just give it a quick look. You will learn it in 5 minutes or so. Okay, this is a little demo that you can find on this website, this repo. Those are two components that do mostly the same, but they are done with one with Polymer and another with the standard APIs. They are working mostly the same. I've seen that standard without Polymer, they are slightly faster, but not that much. And Polymer gives you so much that I think that there's no point to use the standard APIs alone. So you don't want to reinvent the wheel again. Now, the bad and the good of lit element, that is Polymer. The bad is that it's really new, so you don't have a lot of examples like React on Stack Overflow, and a problem that I faced is that they are talking about mostly about Polymer 3.0 or 2, so they are mostly updated, but you will find something. Another one, because it's new, the APIs are also changing, and with the first problem, you have another problem because you will find another answer with all the APIs, and you have to figure it out by yourself and read the real documentation. The community is small because it's new again. The first problem is have something in common with all the others, and there are no real patterns. So you have to figure it out by yourself, how to use them in your daily job or whatever you want to use them. You have to be creative. The good is that they are just a wrapper, because you don't want to learn another framework that it can be outdated in a year or two, and this is a good advantage for your, I don't know, self-not-destruction. We have one brain. I know that it's comfortable to learn small chunks of code. It's really lightweight. There's no rocket science or really large code bases. You have a few properties and a few methods. In this case, you have just one class, you're good to go. The APIs are small, and the doc, this is a really good point, maintained by Google, and it's really updated, and it's fast to read and really well written. So check the documentation before you go to Stack Overflow and pass, copy, paste code around here and there. I'm not from Okinawa, I'm from Lona. So I have to talk about my experience with web components. I started using web components around a year ago. And it was for small components for IBM in Südtirol, and they are used for the Südtirol website, and the need was of small components that can be reused on all the website of Sutiro, but the main requirement it was that they cannot be changed from the outside. So you can drop them on the page and they are good to go. You don't have to care about CSS or something like that. Just use them and be sure that they cannot be modified. So I started reading on Wikipedia, and I found a seriously problem to use them that I talked before. So small communities and no answer on Stack Overflow, but step by step I learned how to first how to use them, and also how to create patterns that don't complicate my life and that help to maintain those components. So, for example, the first problem that I faced was to manage the state. Usually, if you use larger frameworks, you use Redux or patterns like that. There is Redux for Polymer, but I found it nearly 10 days ago, so it was a lucky find, but at the time I don't know that exists. So I used the local scope of the class, so I managed by myself how to do it. And they were happy with those components, so we have received another project, and this project was a little bigger. It was a map with inside of it e-charging columns for your electric cars, and they are mapped around all the South Tyrol and also another part of Italy. And this was the first time that I really appreciate the work from the guys from Redux, because I usually use Redux, that it's a way to manage your state in global objects in your application. But with some creativity, I faced again the problem binding my state inside of the first class in the main component and reuse them inside of the application. Another thing that I tried is to use just function to render my components inside of the first one, and this is barely safe to do, but it's working and it's also really fast. Now, okay. Now, I don't know. Okay. I won't talk about you now, but we see you that I found Redux and also a new way to do things with Polymer. So by the time that they're using them for the first time, they have really improved. The team is working really hard to make them more usable. So give it a try. And if you don't like Polymer, please try web components, because they are the new way that you will build your websites or your application. They will stay there for more time than React. I really love React, but I think that Polymer and also web components in the first place, they are really good, and so please give it a try. And if you want some support or I don't know, someone to confess your sins, you can send me a mail. So I want to do a summary. Web components are a set of features, so it's about really a buzzword. have to see all the different parts of web components and use all the parts in a way that you are comfortable to use them. So if you want just to use shadow DOM or custom elements, just use them. Don't use templates APIs. Polymer can help. Give it a try. And also, you have to be creative to solve your problems. Usually when you use React or Angular or Vue, you have a really large set of things that they are already solved. This is not the case. Usually they are used by large companies that don't want to break their base code and put inside of their application something that works in 2019, so they won't share their code. Okay, I'm to the end of my presentation. Those are my contacts, and I will leave you with a quote from Bill, before this tale of bloody revenge reaches its climax, I'm going to ask you some questions. So you are this. If you want a question.
All right. Thank you very much, also for being a LUCA, and mostly for being a LUCA. LUCA is the actual prototype of what we were talking about before. Is a 3-year-long guest in the Speck&Tech audience, and this is the first time presenting in front of so many people. So warm applause to. And sorry, it wasn't working. And so, all right, we go with some questions if you're okay with that. I believe from the previous slide, yes. So they're asking about the performance of web components compared with frameworks which use components such as Vue and React, and with this without them. I believe they're asking what is the difference between having Vue and React versus just playing web components.
The main things to say, again, is that it's web standard, so it's sure that you don't have to load a lot of bundles of Webpack stuff, so the first load will be faster, but compared from perspective of loading loads of elements, I really don't know, because from my perspective and my usage, I don't have seen any difference, I guess.
Alright, okay, cool. Then they're asking a very fun question. What about Internet Explorer support? Next. Sorry. Then they're saying, can you explain to a no-coder why or when having a component that cannot be changed is key?
It's important because usually there is a thing called CSS, for example, but it's evil. It's evil. I love CSS, but I love evil. So no, that's not. But usually CSS doesn't have any scope. This means that if you write something in CSS, it changes everything that's the same name of the properties that you are using. So this will be a mess for your reusable code. So, for example, in the website of Subtirol, they have loads and loads of parts of HTML and a really complicated HTML to manage. So they have the needs of something that cannot be changed from those large code of CSS. And this is the main reason that you want something that cannot be changeable.
Yeah, like embedding stuff, like YouTube.
And also from CSS, from JavaScript perspective, you can lock and unlock these elements, so you can protect also from JavaScript your code.
Right. I hope that the no-coder have a vague idea of what CSS is, otherwise you can ask Luca later. But you will be super happy to explain CSS from the beginning. All right. So another question about performance. Did you notice any difference between using and not using Polymer in web components in terms of performance?
It's the difference between simply the difference between using React and not using React, because you're using something that it's already made, and it will improve your primitive APIs provided by JavaScript, and you will obtain a real query on your developer experience and also on the results on your application.
You're talking about developer performance.
Developers. Yeah.
Then they're asking, this is unrelated, but maybe it's interesting. Which framework or library you advise to a beginner? Angular, React, or Vue?
This is not a framework word. React.
Okay. And okay. Well, the last one is about benchmarks, that you say that you either run stuff. So we are here with the last question they are asking. Are you the Marchese of Lona?
Of course.
Well, thank you. Last one.
Let's suppose that I'm an average computer science student or simply a paranoid user, and I deactivate JavaScript at browser level. What could your browser do with web components and maybe pre-render the page or something, or I don't know?
You can go back to 2005 and pray that your internet will work. No, seriously, it's not a problem that you can have in 2019. If you deactivate JavaScript, what on the internet can you use? I don't know. Wikipedia? No, I don't think.
Flash.
Ah. Yeah. Activate Flash and
Instead of on the students, do you have any idea about this, or probably everything's broken?
I think that the page won't load the web components stuff because you can't read the class inside of your JavaScript files, so it won't appear. Simply.
So you can't pre-render the page.
Yes.
Like Next.js or something like that. Do you know?
I've not tried to pre-render the page because they are really faster, and so you usually don't have the need of this kind of stuff.
Right, for more questions about how the internet looks without JavaScript, you can ask Luca later. He will be around here.
All these strong opinions.
Thanks again for being great.
And now while we set for the another Luca on stage, yeah, Luca Galasso. Couple of seconds, there we go. Meanwhile, a couple of people asked us, where is the toilet? It's actually interesting, but you need to actually complete and go till the very end of the tunnel. So you just get out here, turn left, get into the other tunnel, which is the black tunnel. You walk till the very end, and once you're around the Gardolo di Mezzo, there's this place, the door. You open it, you get out of the tunnel, and there's a toilet. So it's not like outside, it's not in the rain, it's actually a proper toilet, but it's outside. Okay. We are connected to the internet. Ready? Okay, we are ready. Thanks, Cristina, for giving us the Wi-Fi.
Hello everybody, I'm Luca, I'm number 2. I work at OneFlow here in Pavo, Trento, where we use GraphQL to provide feedback analysis. And tonight we'll talk about GraphQL, that is the alternative of an improvement of REST, that they are both API. How many of you are developers? Like me? Okay, quite a lot, not too much. Let's talk a bit about what API are. The API lets the different pieces of code communicate with each other. Indeed, they are interface of application, and they let you exchange data from different pieces of code. The market of the API is growing a lot, but one cool thing that Jeff Bezos, you should know, said a long time ago is that referring to the API, anyone who doesn't do this will be fired by HR. So there are a lot of ways you can do the API. SOAP is really old, no one are using it, I hope. But GraphQL takes inspiration of it, and REST is the main used technology in the web. And but it has a lot of limitations, so we'll evaluate them. And this is why GraphQL is born. What is a RESTful API? In REST, you have a resource that basically is a URL that specifies a resource, and with the method, with the verbs, you can do action to these resources that are get when you want to retrieve data, or post, put, and delete when you want to modify or delete this data. How does it work? Here, for example, we have the get, so we want to retrieve all the authors of a specific domain with the protocol HTTP. It's really simple, but it has a lot of limitation. For example, if you want to retrieve also the books information, we need to do 2 different requests, but if we want to also need the voucher information and also the salary information, we need to do 4 different requests. This is the unfetching, because we need to retrieve information doing multiple requests. But another more important aspect is that if we need only the name of the authors and the title of the book and so on, we have the overfetching, because there are a lot of information we don't use in this page. And so it's a waste of time. We need more time to load the page, and also for a computational point of view, you need to load this data and pass it to the front end. So, for example, what we can do is to emulate the behavior of Google Maps, because they are really good developer. How does it work? If you want to retrieve all the feedback of a specific place, for example, of this place, you can go to this API, make a GET request, and you will have all the feedback, the 10 feedback of the first 10 feedback of this place. It's not really clear, as you can see. Indeed, if you want to have the 10 feedback with the first feedback it's the 28, you can do it. You have to modify those 2 fields. It's not really easy to understand, as you can see. but it's really compressed. Indeed, they want the optimize everything. It's not clear, so we want to reproduce this behavior. It's also really cool to take a look on how the response, what is the response. Indeed, it's really difficult to understand how to read the response. But we are a developer, we want to make something more clear. And so the alternative we should use is GraphQL, as we will see. So we don't want to use REST because it has a lot of limitation. Ideally, we want to make query from the front end, but as we saw a month ago, we don't have to do it because SQL injection, you should know. And so the alternative, we want to query our database from a front end from the front end, but okay. Okay, created a small GitHub repo where we can have a look at. If you go on Apple documentation, there is you can create this file. Basically, it's the example I show you in the presentation. And here you can create the schema. It's really simple. You have to let's start from basics. You have to install both okay, let's do the Apollo. If you go to the Get Starter documentation, you have to create a JavaScript node repo. You have to install both Apollo Server and GraphQL, and it's really simple. You can copy the code that you can find here, and you will create this file. As you can see, here there is the schema composed by the book and the query book that will return the list of the books. In this case, we didn't connect any database. We have a list of book with the title and with the author name. In the resolver, we need to specify the resolved books. This the one created book that return the list that is here. And so we can create a new instance of Apollo servers to find the type definition, our schema, and the resolver that resolve the schema. If you want to test it, it's this one. During the development cycle, there is this page. It's called GraphQL or Playground, the newest version of Apollo. It's really cool because as a front-end developer, you don't have to ask to the backend developer how the API works because you can have a look at the documentation that is automatically created by GraphQL. Indeed, there is a query called resolver that returns a list of book, and a list of book, a book is composed by a title with a string and an author that is a string. If you want to try it, if you want to ask for the query, it's really simple. There is also the auto suggestion, the control space. We can ask for a new query, and it's called book. There is, for example, an error. In this case, you cannot retrieve all the fields of the book. You have to specify them. Okay, let's specify only the title, and let's run it. And then it will retrieve only the title for each book. We can also change and ask only for the author. Let's do it. It's super simple. And okay, let's start with a more complex one. Well, what if we want to also a definition called authors, for example. It's pretty easy. You can do it like, oh, sorry. It's okay. Let's do like this one. Let's create the author with the name and the resolver called authors. Let's return a list of authors. Okay, as you can, what you can do is to create also the resolver called authors and return only the books only an array called authors, for example. Should work. It wasn't. Okay, so let's try it. Let's try to run it. I'm not sure actually, but we'll see. Okay, let's try to refresh the page. In this case, if we there's a new resolver called authors, and in this case we can only ask for the name. Yeah, there is an error actually, unexpected. Because we are not returning the correct variable. And for instance, the author has the property name, so we need to rename it and call it name. Let's try to run it again. Okay, it's working. The author is the same. How many of you know the Star Wars API? Anyone? Star Wars API. Anyone of you? How many of you know Star Wars?
No.
Okay, I saw it. The first movie, but okay. If you go to Zwapi.co, there is a really good website providing all the information about Star Wars with the API. If we go to documentation, we can see that there is a Zwapi.co/API providing all the root people, themes, and all the other stuff. What you can do is to try to wrap these informations and retrieve the data through GraphQL instead of REST. As you can see here, there is a schema for each resource. So if we try and go to java.co/API/people/schema, this is the schema of the resource people. If we copy the schema and this is the language JSON and we can format it, these are all the fields returned by this API. Let's try to do it. And the sample with the example. In this case, there is a type called person with all the fields that we have here. Let's assume that all these fields are strings. And so they are all string. And okay, let's create a resolver called return a person called people. And so we don't need the two variables. We need to make a request. The result is equal people. Then we need to make a request. So we need to import the request module. I dropped it, but anyway. request. I'm not trying to expose a function. Yeah, indeed. What we can do is, in this case, it's an asynchronous function because we need to wait for the data provided by the REST API of this bucket. And we can request the data coming from this API, is one of the people. You can try also to go here. As you can see, it rendered the page, but you can specify to retrieve only the JSON information. Indeed, in the request file that I created, I will specify the format JSON. If we ask for the API, it's not wrong, we can try it. In short, so we created a type person that retrieve all the information provided by this API, and we will retrieve the information directly from the web. That's right. Okay. Okay, in this case, query. Okay, we have the people. Good to know. We have all the fields that we created. Let's take for the name and the ID here. Let's try to do it. Oh. These are all the information provided by this API. It's really cool if you want to understand, if you want to play with them, they're really, really cool. But let's go back to the presentation with the defined summary. Okay, so in short, what are the pros and cons of using GraphQL? As you saw, the schema is strongly typed. It means that GraphQL, there is also a validation layer that evaluates your query and understand if it matches your schema. If not, you will not handle the query and it will generate a really comprehensive error, like the field you ask it doesn't exist, or some error like this. It's really easy to learn the schema from a developer from a front-end point of view, because you can go to the GraphQL page we create, the GraphQL creator, and you can see the documentation, try to query, to ask for new fields, and so on. It fixed the main issue with REST. There's no more underfetching or overfetching. You can ask with a single request all the information you need for each page. Indeed, I like the talk, the Lucas talk. Maybe you can also, for example, use both component GraphQL, because each component use different data, so it could be fine, but we can talk about it later. And also, since you can add new field in your schema, but the front end need to ask for it, and also you can modify the schema, and it's really easy on the front end side understand if it's broken or not. You will understand that you don't need to version your API. Because if you create a really good schema, you will continue to add new fields, and if you add new fields, you don't break the front end, because the front end doesn't ask for it yet. What are the big disadvantages of GraphQL? It's not really easy to cache the request, because on REST, each endpoint specifies a real specific resource. So if you ask for it again, it will return every time the same data. On the other side, in GraphQL, there is only one endpoint, it's /GraphQL, and in the body of a request, you have to specify the query. So it's a bit more complex to do it, the cache system, but Apollo client is doing it in a really good way. And on the other side, also, since we GraphQL use a lot the JSONs in the structure, you need to parse each time the string in JSON, vice versa. So let's learn the takeaway you can do. In short, GraphQL is an improvement of REST, and you can use it both on small project and big project, depending on what you're doing. If you know it, you can also use it on a small project. If not, it's add a bit of more complexity, so it depends on how you can use it. But in using it also on a small project, because it's really simple, as we saw before. It's super easy to start with, as we saw before. You can do it in a colorful row of codes, and you don't need to know too much of stuff. I know that if you want to create a really complex schema, you need to understand how to do it. You need to understand how to use the arguments that GraphQL provides you in the resolver, because you need to understand, for example, what is your parents and the more complex stuff, but you can start in a really easy way. The schema is super user-friendly. It's strongly typed. The front end can play with it without any other information. It abstracts your DB, and indeed it's secure by design. Since you don't need to expose your DB on the web, because GraphQL lets you query in its own way, you don't need to expose your logic or your structure of your DB. So the main issue with REST is that since you want flexibility on the front-end side, the main issue is that some function of your DB that you shouldn't do it. And while on GraphQL there is a structure, there is the schema that defines the query you can do, so you don't need to do it. So it's done. Yeah, here are some resources you can do. I suggest you, if you're curious, to read this paper because there is a really good comparison between a migration from REST to GraphQL. In short, it say that you can also reduce the amount of information that you ask for from to 95%. So it's really cool to ask for, but there are also some other resources you can use. Thank you.
As we were saying before, he was one of the first ones 3 years ago to come to Speck&Tech. So after 3 years of learning and listening, finally on stage, and we are very glad for this. A couple of questions, starting from the very end. You were saying that you don't need to expose your DB, so there's a couple of questions. First one, how do you restrict access? And second, how do you protect the data? Yeah,
it's true. Okay, first of all, actually, if you develop your schema in a bad way, you can expose your DB, but it's what you don't want to do. Second question related to the access. There are a lot of different ways you can authentify the client. One thing you can do is to create, for example, two resolver, one called admin and one called user, that the user contain all the fields of the user, and the admin is an implementation of the user plus more information. And if so, you have to validate the user only called admin and called user. Let's make an example. If we, for example, if we create a type, a resolver called author We can also create, for example, the query called admin and clients that return the same result. But in the resolver, you will evaluate the user, and if the user has access to the admin schema, it can go through all the fields. If not, it will not. At the same time, you can also validate the user in each resolver, but it's more time consuming, and it depends on what you want to do.
Awesome. Does it check implicitly the types when pushing data to the server?
Pushing data or retrieving data? Pushing it means that, for example, if you specify a variable, yes, if you specify, for example, like this one.
What's this question?
If you add the book and here you specify you retrieve.
Wait a second. Did you mean push or retrieve? Push.
Yeah. For example, in this case, if I'm not wrong, this case is pretty the one you asked for. If here we specify not a string, a variable, it will generate an error on the front end side, and also on the back end side. Because you cannot actually, so it's strongly typed means that it will also check all the variables if they are correct or not.
Cool. Does it work with any REST request, for example, from Google Maps, as we saw before?
It depends. Google Maps is not working with REST, so not. But if you develop it, you can work on every platform. You can also do a CURL from a terminal, and for example in the README, I can copy paste it in a really fast way.
I got 2 microphones.
Okay. On the right we have the server we created. Actually, it's not working because the schema is not correct. Let's start with the schema library with notation. On the right, we can ask for the data directly from the terminal with the CURL. The method, as I said before, is a post, the application JSON, and we want to query and retrieve the book's title information, and we'll return the list of the books. So you can use it whenever you want.
Cool. Last question: MongoDB or GraphQL?
MongoDB, they are completely different. I mean,
I guess it was a trolling.
Yeah. The database you use, it doesn't matter. You can use whatever you want. In the example I showed you before, we wrote the Zwapi, so there's no database. So.
Okay, thanks. Your feedback was spaziale. Awesome. But I guess it was referring to you. Yeah. Final questions to wrap up. Thanks to our speakers. As you saw, it's people at the first or one of the first talks in public. So feel free feel free to submit your talks. We will try to be more prepared next time with the setup and the speaker. But unfortunately, it was a crazy snowstorm, and both our Fonico and our Tutofare Michele are kind of lost.
Also, the cat ate my homework. A lot of other interesting things that really happened for me. 100% true.
Okay, so it's very early, it's still 10 something, and it's raining outside, so I guess everyone will not mind to go at the very entrance of this tunnel and eat a bunch of speck, you drink beers, and enjoy your time with the speckers.
Yeah, again, 19, 20 December, last Speck&Tech of the year, don't miss it. Moreover, Speck and beers don't come for free, please donate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.